You ready? Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm First Deputy Superintendent Eric Carter. I'm here on behalf of Superintendent David Brown, who could not be here this evening as he is out of town finalizing the funeral arrangements for his deceased mother. This evening, Chicago mourns the loss of one of its bravest and finest. And we have another officer who is struggling and fighting for his very life. At approximately 9 p.m. this evening, at 63rd and Bell in the 8th District, officers from the CST unit conducted a traffic stop. During that traffic stop, there were 3 occupants of the vehicle, 2 male, 1 female. During that traffic stop, the officers were fired upon. They returned fire. During that exchange of gunfire, 2 officers were struck. 1 offender was struck. We have 2 offenders in custody and a weapon recovered on the scene. Both of our officers were rushed here to the University of Chicago Hospital, where 1 officer succumbed to her wounds. The other officer is currently fighting for his very life. We asked the city of Chicago to pray for both officers, their families, their fellow officers who are struggling with the facts of this. As I said, this is all preliminary information, and it will change as the detective investigation continues to unfold. At this time, there's nothing further I will offer for the investigation, but just ask that everyone please keep these officers behind me in your prayers. It's just another example of how the Chicago Police Department and these officers put their lives above that of others to protect this city day in, day out. Selflessly, they go out here and do their jobs. Thanklessly, they do it without asking for anything. They do it because they love it. They do it because it's something, a higher calling for them. And they do it because it's the right thing to do. And we ask that you keep them in their prayers and their family. And with that, I'll turn it over to the mayor.
I'll be brief. Obviously, our hearts ache for the loss of life. The officer who succumbed to her injuries was very young on the job, but incredibly enthusiastic to do the work. Had time to spend with her family, who was obviously grieving and distraught at the loss of life. As the first said, we must remind ourselves every single day. Our officers are fearless in the face of danger. They run to danger to protect us. We can never forget that. Never forget the sacrifices that they make every single day as we speak to protect people in neighborhoods, even in the face of violence. It's a very sad day, not just for the Chicago Police Department, and it is, but it's a very sad and tragic day for our city. There'll be more that we'll be able to share with members of the public as the detective investigation continues. We'll be out tomorrow. The superintendent will be back. We send him our condolences for the recent loss of his own mother. But as I said, this is a very tragic and sad day for our city, and pray for our officers. The men and women of this department deserve our support. They deserve our consideration, and they deserve our prayers every single day that they can return home safely to their families. Unfortunately, that didn't happen tonight, and our heart aches for the loss of life. Thank you.
According to Chicago's first Deputy Superintendent Eric Carter, he was the first gentleman who was speaking before Mayor Lori Lightfoot. As you can see, some of the communication staff from the Chicago Police are now talking again to reporters. They didn't take any questions, but just to recap, what we now have officially on the record is that apparently there was a traffic stop that was made at 63rd and Bell in Englewood around 9 o'clock on Saturday night. We're now into Sunday morning, of course. And at this traffic stop, shots were fired, and shots were fired between 3 occupants in a car and two police officers who were attending that traffic stop. Those officers were shot, and the most important headline, obviously, right now is that one of those officers has passed away, a young female officer whose family was just actually visiting and grieving with the mayor. So let's bring in Will Jones right now. He's standing by, our reporter on the scene. Will, pretty straightforward right now. They didn't take any questions. Set the scene a little bit more for us where you are.
Ravi, a lot of questions about what led up to this traffic stop and just what exactly went down in that traffic stop. But we do know that 2 officers were injured in a shootout with these suspects. One officer, a female officer, was brought here to the University of Chicago Medical Center where she passed away. You heard from the first deputy superintendent, Eric Carter, who said that the male officer right now is fighting for his life. I want to step out of the way and show you this scene behind me. These officers have been here throughout the evening since this shooting happened around 9 o'clock in the West Englewood neighborhood at 63rd and Bell. They have been gathered together at points. I've seen officers embrace each other. These officers put their lives on the line each day. They leave their families to go protect the city of Chicago, and this is something that they fear. This is something that they sign up for, that they know that their job is dangerous, but this is something that they don't want to see happen. Their families are fearful that something like this has happened, and I've seen officers embrace each other, shake hands. At times they're huddled together. It seemed like that they were praying. So this is really a very tough scene. You heard from the mayor, very emotional as well. Superintendent Brown obviously wanted to be here tonight with his officers. As you heard from the first deputy superintendent, he's out of town finalizing funeral arrangements for his mother. His mother passed away on Thursday, so he is dealing with a lot. Family loss, and now 2 of his own officers, one injured, one killed. That one officer, the male officer, fighting for his life. They didn't give us much information about those officers. The female officer, we know she's a young officer. The male officer who is still in the hospital being treated, we don't know how long they've been on the force, whether they were, that's their normal district that they were worked in. So a lot of questions, but I can tell you just the emotion here. Some people in the neighborhood have been coming over, trying to talk with these officers. This is a scene that you don't want to see. So what usually happens after an officer is shot and killed, that there is a procession to the morgue. So we're not sure what time that will happen, but it doesn't look like that they are set up for that. But if you've ever seen it, it's very emotional. A lot of officers in their cruisers, ambulances, fire trucks, taking the deceased officer to the morgue, paying their final respects. But Ravi, no way else to put it, but
yeah.
It's just a very tough scene being out here.
It's, you know, all those officers who are behind you, Will, they're kind of in silhouette for us as we watch on TV, but you can even see from their body language, and we've been watching this camera shot now for a good 2 hours or so. You can see the body language, you can see them kind of slumped, you can see the hugging, you can see the hanging of heads, and this is, as you say, the worst nightmare for police officers. And when a police officer is shot, all of society pays a price. There's no question about that. But back to the incident, what we did hear officially from First Deputy Superintendent Eric Carter was that, again, there were 3 occupants in a car at this traffic this traffic incident, and 2 male, 1 female, and they were fired upon right away. No more details about that. But again, we're also looking still for one person from this incident who may be out in the neighborhood somewhere. Okay, I guess we have lost Will for now.
The officers are... You still have me? Okay. All right. These officers, they are fearful of these traffic stops because they never know what they're getting into. And again, we don't know what led up to this traffic stop, why these officers were pulling out over the car, but it turned into a shootout. And as you mentioned, one suspect remains on the run. It's unclear, though, a description of who they're looking for. Do police know who they're looking for? But we do know that 2 suspects are in police custody. One of those suspects was injured in the shootout, so we're still waiting for a lot more information. This investigation is just getting underway, and we're told that Superintendent Brown will be back in town sometime tomorrow morning, and he's going to have a news conference, so we're likely to get more information there. But right now, just the preliminary details: a female officer killed, another officer, male officer, injured, and he is not doing well. First Deputy Superintendent Eric Carter defined it as he's fighting for his life, Ravi.
That's right. And you know, Will, we can share with you some stats from Chicago Police. Before this shooting tonight, as of August 1st in this year of 2021, 9 CPD officers have been shot, so that makes 11 now, and 27 have been shot at. So if you just do the math in terms of us being, what, 2/3 of the way through the year, I mean, this is quite something that happens far too often for this city and for the people who are charged with protecting it. And it really brings home the mortal danger they're in, frankly, every day. We also can say that the police were able to recover a weapon at the incident, and that they continue on this investigation. Okay, Will Jones covering this all for us right now. Will, great job. Stay safe. Thanks so much for what you're doing. And, you know, our Will Jones will be on top of it. Our whole news team will be on top of it through the night. We'll be giving you updates on our website and our news app, abc7chicago.com. And our news will continue here on ABC7 with our morning show, which will start at 5 a.m. So just really, actually, just a few hours from now. Again, just to recap, 1 police officer has been killed. Another Chicago police officer is fighting for his life in the hospital at the University of Chicago Medical Center. And everyone in the city is being asked to pray for those officers and their families and their colleagues as they do what their bosses say is a beautiful but thankless job. All right, that wraps our coverage for now. I'm Ravi Bajwal here at Eyewitness News in Chicago. We look forward to continuing with this story a little bit later on this morning. And again, check our website for any updates through the evening.